Yeah, man! Serious times down in Johannesburg. Watch the fire now. Listen! The horns! Oh, yeah. The stage was set, the lights were low for the big G20 show. Leaders coming from across the sea to talk about the world economy. Johannesburg was dressed to impress, ready to clean up the global mess. But before the first gavel could sound, a different kind of noise started going around. Now everybody talking about Cyril's big blunder. He lighting the match while we standing under. You think you're smart with that devious smile, but you're burning down the bridge for mile after mile. Oh, Cyril's big blunder, what a heavy price when you're playing politics and rolling the dice. The party is cancelled, the guests wouldn't come. Now we dancing alone to the beat of the drum. The ANC politicians step up to the mic, spewing out words that nobody like. They open their mouths and the fire jump out, insulting America, scream and shout. They're telling tall tales, they're telling the lies, right there under the African skies. And the media catch it, they run with the ball, they amplify the noise until the whole thing follow. Talking about Cyril's big blunder, he lighting the match while we standing under. You think you're smart with that devious smile, but you're burning down the bridge for mile after mile. Oh, Cyril's big blunder, what a heavy price when you're playing politics and rolling the dice. The party is cancelled, the guests wouldn't come. Now we dancing alone to the beat of the drum. Yeah. Watch the house of cards, they're tumbling on. Yeah, blow it down, what a mess. I look at the president sitting up high, I see that little twinkle in his eye. He cracking that smile, that devious grin, while the diplomatic ice is getting very thin. You think the eagle gonna take that heat? Nah, sir, they won't take a seat. No Uncle Sam at your Josie party. You chase them away, you're acting too hearty. It's Cyril's big blunder, he lighting the match while we standing under. You think you're smart with that devious smile, but you're burning down the bridge for mile after mile. Oh, Cyril's big blunder, what a heavy price when you're playing politics and rolling the dice. The party is cancelled, the guests wouldn't come. Now we dancing alone to the beat of the drum. Yeah, they stay no way America now come to Johannesburg today. You set the house on fire, man, what kind of plan? Cyril, wipe that smile off your face. It's a disgrace. No, sir. No, sir.
Marvin Devine. I'm saying bye to all the lies and all the times you cried, saying that I wasn't right, yet I was right by your side. You manipulator, playing games, your friends commentators, and I don't know what you say about our private conversations, but it's got them hating. Thanks to all the rumors you be claiming. It's cool, I'm done with you, so they can throw you a celebration. You gon' hate it when you see me with somebody living better. I'm trying to tell you that me just doing me gon' have you jealous.
Hello, folks. Welcome back. It's Friday, November 21st, 2025, live from Central Pennsylvania. It's Chris. Hang on. It's 20. All right, just checking the sound. I'm always doing that sound check now. Never trust the software. Windows said they weren't going to do more updates. I've had 3 updates. The first one screwed up my computer after November 1st, or after October, whenever it was. And the second one seems to fix it. And the third one, we're back in shape here. After YouTube screwed everything up, now it's working again. Not YouTube, excuse me. Microsoft. Microsoft. Anyway, welcome back on a Friends and Family Only Friday, FAFO. What awaits us? Well, it's another 6 hours to the 5 p.m. hour, which is typically when Trump drops the hammer on countries like South Africa that are disobeying international norms, in violation of 9 nation sanctions, shipping military hardware to sanctioned warlords in Libya. Yeah, also falsely claiming that people that aren't refugees are refugees coming from Gaza. Yeah, there's a lot going on. But the big news today, of course, is the G20 summit, which is now almost underway. And my goodness, yeah, it's cray-cray. The psychological operation by the South African government and the captured media in South Africa and in Washington is well underway, folks. I've just published a video moments ago about Johnny Steenhuisen, the agriculture minister. It's up now. I don't think anyone's seen it yet. How can nobody have seen it? It has 12 comments. It has 12 comments and nobody's seen it. Let me show you what YouTube does. This is how they're behind. I guess it's just the timing of it. But let me give you a quick glander of this. Okay, so here's the video. And it says 0 views, 12 comments. I know that you probably can't see it on your screen very well, but let's just zoom this thing in a little bit. 170. Okay, there you go. So let's go over here. Well, let me do it. Anyway, well, let me go over. So sorry. But yeah, it says 0 views and 12 comments. Let's see if there's any comments. Yeah, there's comments there. Yeah, but 0 views according to YouTube. Let's see if we got any here. Okay, 440 views. I was going to say. It just takes time for it to cycle through. That's funny. Anyway, so I just published that video about John Steenhuisen insulting our senior diplomat. So that's the latest South African nation to participate in the psychological operations campaign. Yeah. So there you have it, folks. We're going to talk a little bit today. I've also prepared another some notes for another video I'll be making about the Times, Sunday Times editorial, which is clearly just more part of the propaganda attacking the United States and simply ignoring the facts. That the Times Live goes to unbelievable lengths to ignore truth, to run propaganda about Donald Trump. It's really sad. Hang on a second here. My chair's down a little bit there. Yeah, there we go. A little more. There it goes, down just a little bit there. Anyway, so let's get to the news. Welcome to the program. 452 people here, just 185 likes. Okay, maybe you need a couple minutes of good content before you like the stream, but please hit the like button. It is Friday, November 21st, 2025. Turkey Day is just around the corner, folks. Had our meeting last night for the veterans, and our event coming up for this week is looking pretty healthy, looking pretty good. So there you go. All right, let's get to it. Don't believe what don't you believe? What did somebody say there? Ursula von der Leyen and appeasement economic. Yeah, no, Ursula von der Leyen is a perfect apparatchik for the leftist. By the way, did anybody participate in the G20 women's shutdown today? That was going on at noon South Africa time, so now it's already 6 hours ago. The G20 women's shutdown was scheduled. Women were supposed to take the day off from work, don't spend any money, and join a 15-minute standstill by lying down for 15 minutes at 12 p.m. to recognize the 15 women murdered every day in femicide in South Africa. Also, they asked people to change their profile picture to purple and to share. Yeah, this is a wonderful thing that they did, except they, for some reason, seem to think it was important to include the LGBTQ plus I community. Why? Why do you include them? Why do you exclude men but include them? Doesn't make any sense. Yeah, well, I reported on the shutdown scientist. I've covered that. I'm just now asking for a follow-up because I've saw no news coverage of it whatsoever in South Africa. Clearly, it's an effort to hide any protest that's taking place at the G20. Is EFF protesting? I'm shocked that they're not. Let's get to the news. We can't do it alone. The European Union praises South Africa as it calls for collective action at the G20. Ursula von der Leyen is standing there with her lovely bleach blonde hair. European Union called for stronger multilateral cooperation as global leaders gather in Joburg for the first G20 summit held on African soil. EU leaders praised President Ramaphosa and South Africa's diplomacy, saying the summit puts Africa at the center of global decision-making. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. NVIDIA is worth more than South Africa. Walmart makes more money than South Africa. Walmart is profitable. South Africa is not. And Walmart employs twice as many people as the South African government. No, I'm sorry. Africa is not at the center of the global discussion. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm going to have to pull out a red card on Ursula von der Leyen. That's a red card. That's just a red card. That's a permanent red card. Sit down on the bench, sweetheart. Just go sit down. Hang your head in shame. EU Commissioner President Ursula von der Leyen told the first G20 held African soil highlights Africa's central and vital role on the global stage, as well as leadership of Ramaphosa in South Africa. No. These people people are purely delusional. I mean, this isn't even polite diplomatic language. It's just fantasy. Ramaphosa is not important on the world stage. He's not. He's a joke on the world stage. And South Africa has no geopolitical strategic value whatsoever to the world. I'm sorry. Love South Africa. But Liechtenstein has no geopolitical strategic importance to the world whatsoever. Switzerland does. Liechtenstein doesn't. South Africa doesn't. No. Nope. Sorry. The G20 is a premier global forum to find a common solution for common challenges as to how to maintain reliable rules-based trade in a volatile global economy, how to ensure climate change. How to ensure climate change. Oh, they want a climate change. She said, how to ensure climate change. So they want to ensure that the climate is changing. I thought we were trying to stop climate change. Ursula von der Leyen says this is the premier body to ensure climate change. Oh my gosh. Food and energy resilience and how to meet the opportunities and risks posed by rapid technological change. She said these were the 3 roundtables that would form the core discussions the next 2 days. Europe is doubling down on our core beliefs that rules-based trade delivers. We will continue to champion partnership, openness, and fair competition. This message will bring the G20 EU African Summit, which follows this G20. We will continue to champion fair trade and fair competition while imposing 10% tariffs on U.S. automobile exports and quotas while enjoying unlimited access to U.S. market and 2% tariffs on your automobiles. Yes, you believe in fair trade and competition. I don't think so. You're way behind the story there, T. DeLopo. Report on the Lady Pandor's visa being pulled when it was reported initially yesterday, within minutes of it. The video's on the channel. Please watch my videos, folks. Please watch my videos. I put a lot of time and effort into them. By the way, yesterday was a banner day on the channel. For the first time in donkey years, we actually had good viewership on the channel. I mean, really good viewership. Yesterday, we had 205,000 views on the channel. Thank you all for that. I'm very grateful. 205,802 views on the channel yesterday. That was absolutely rocking, incredible. Love it. Thank you so much for that. It's been a long time. In fact, let me see how last time we had 205,000 views. I think we've had that in the last 90 days. The closest we came was on August 27. We had 167,000 views. And let's go for this year. That would be, we've had several 200,000 in the spring, but it's only one of a handful of 200,000 views in a day. So thank you for that. Really appreciate that. Had almost 30 million views this year alone. If we keep it up, we'll get over 30 million. Lifetime, we're now looking at 33,300,000. So it's been a banner year this year. Thank you all for that. But yeah, yesterday was huge, 205,000 views. But then, of course, I did 4 live streams, 7 prepared videos to get to that 200,000. So I ran myself in the ground. But it was news day. It was news. Now, Lady Pandor's visa was revoked. We had Cyril Ramaphosa coming out and lying to the world, saying the U.S. had changed their mind and wants to attend the conference now, which is not the case. The note verbal said that a delegation would be there to receive the baton after the conference was over. They turned it into the U.S. is coming back, trying to embarrass the United States. And then Carolyn Levitt just slammed Cyril Ramaphosa. And then last night we had a lot of fun because we found out that Ibrahim Rasool was roasted, absolutely roasted by Emily Schrader on Piers Morgan. Oh my goodness, that was worth the price of admission. My goodness, I'm a fan of her woman now, Emily Schrader. She just destroyed Ibrahim Rasool. She said she finds it ironic that an Islamist supremacist would call Donald Trump a white supremacist. That was smoking, man. Oh my gosh, when the woke turds get exposed. Oh, Ibrahim Rasool finally met a match, someone that wasn't afraid to call him out for what he is. She is a hero in South Africa now. Well, all of Joburg, where this event is taking place, is extra clean right now. But so it was a busy day yesterday. We had so many videos to do. Thank you all for being there and for watching the videos. But please, folks, watch my videos. I appreciate the live audiences. It really keeps us engaged. It's great to have all these folks. Yes, he got Rasooled. Yeah, I don't know if he's recovering. Last we heard that Ibrahim Rasool was at Groote Schuur Hospital in Cape Town in the trauma unit. We go live now to the Western Cape. Hello, this is Yaku, and I'm here in Cape Town at the Groote Schuur Hospital, the world-famous hospital where the world's first heart transplant by Christian Barnard took place 60 years ago. And today we're here because there's been an admission. The former ambassador to the United States, twice over, Ibrahim Rasool, has been admitted to the trauma unit for the hiding that he got out of Piers Morgan. Oh, no. Well, I got to stop the news. We got to watch this. You got to watch this, guys. If you haven't seen it, you got to watch it. Oh, my goodness. This was epic. Let me find. Here it is.
On that charge of him.
Okay, here we go. Here we go. This is great. I'll do some audio, then I'll do the video, okay?
Being a white supremacist. What's your response to that?
I mean...
Okay, here she is. This is an epic roast, ladies and gentlemen. This is an epic roast. I'm telling you, this one's off the charts. Here we go. Here we go. Watch his face.
And I don't really have any comment about Donald Trump. I don't know what his personal views are. I don't care for him that much personally. I don't agree with his policy on most of the Middle East, certainly not trying to make a deal with the Islamic Republic of Iran. But I do find it highly ironic that someone who effectively is an Islamist supremacist is accusing someone else of being a white supremacist. Mr. Rasool here is someone who has openly praised Yusuf al-Qaradawi, who of course is a financier or was a financier of Hamas, who openly supported terrorism and Hamas. He has constantly affiliated himself with various figures who are involved with Hamas. He has participated.
Look at that face, man. Look at Russell's face.
His organization as well has even co-hosted fundraisers with organizations that were funded and created by Qaradawi, who I mentioned earlier, Suleiman, his colleague. He also has done, not only brought Gazans to...
Poor Ibrahim. You can see the sunbuck right now. He's getting a hiding.
To South Africa, but also has bragged about his associations with Hamas officials. He's met with Islamic Jihad officials. He has also posted publicly about how he has a keffiyeh that's signed by Isma Haniyeh, the leader of Hamas. And just several months before he was appointed to be the ambassador of the United States, he was meeting with a delegation of Muslim Brotherhood officials in South Africa about how to advance the Palestinian cause. Now, given the fact that he has all of these associations with Hamas officials and with people who have funded Hamas, I would like to know, and I think the world deserves to know, what exactly he meant by supporting the Palestinian cause when meeting with those Muslim Brotherhood officials.
Let's give Mr. Rasool the chance to respond.
And he does respond, but he doesn't answer any of the charges that she lays out there. He starts going on about, this is a stereotypical attack on Muslims. It's Islamophobia. You see, they hate us. No, she did take a breath. You know, she's very attractive, but her body doesn't match her head. She has a small head for that body. Okay, I'm just saying. Throws me off.
I think Emily has come here prepared to speak to a stereotype and not to Ibrahim Rasool.
No, I'm talking about your actual record.
Anyone who knows who I am would know that I...
Oh, we know who you are, buddy. We know who you are. Do you know who I am? Do you know who I am? Do you know who I am? It's Friends and Family Only Friday. Oh my goodness. That was the epic roast, ladies and gentlemen. That was an absolutely epic roast. Thank you, Anne-Marie. 52 months. Earl, Minister of Water, is OC that doesn't know. Huh? Anne-Marie, what is that? I have no idea what that is. Yeah, she wore the right color. That was too funny. What link is not found? Oh my gosh. Damn, the man got cooked. Oh yes, he met with the Palestinian, with the Muslim Brotherhood in South Africa. Yeah. Definitely not friends. Roast for dinner. Yeah. She's brilliant, man. That's absolutely brilliant. Yeah, she just rolls her eyes when he starts talking nonsense. She didn't take a breath. She just, I mean, that was a friggin' machine gun. That was a Gatling gun. Man, she just launched. That was, we had too much fun with that one last night. She Rasooled him. Somebody call Saps. He got a hiding. Woo! Yeah, interview Lamola. That would be hilarious too. I'm going to try to get her, folks. She's got a big Twitter following, but not much on YouTube. Maybe I can get her as a guest. That would be brilliant. Well, speaking of the propaganda, the psyop going on about the G20, here we go. Oops, that's not what I'm looking for. The wrong way. I'm getting so excited here. All right, so the U.S. South Africa tells U.S. it's displeased at last-minute G20 summit. This is purely fake news. The U.S. did not request to attend the summit last minute. This is all fiction made up by the ANC. South Africa expressed displeasure with the U.S. decision to attend the G20 at diplomatic level weeks after U.S. President Trump vowed to boycott it. Actually, it was last week, not weeks ago, that President Trump said no officials would come. We were come with a delegation until last week, so not weeks ago. Also, the U.S. is not seeking to attend the summit, but rather to come after the summit to take the baton. So this is more propaganda from South Africa's government, part of a pervasive psyop ongoing in South Africa and the European Union and U.S. media. Diplomatic rift. Ramaphosa will not hand over the G20 to a junior U.S. official. Well, now Ramaphosa is insulting one of the most senior diplomats in the diplomatic corps. One of the most senior diplomatic corps members. A diplomat who's been stationed in South Korea, in Japan, in Bulgaria, in Paris, in Nairobi, in South Africa, and a host of other locations in a 27-year storied, highly decorated diplomatic career. A man who's been chargé d'affaires running embassies in the absence of the ambassador extraordinaire plenipotentiaire in many countries around the world. This is, I think, his third time being chargé, or fourth time on a long-term basis. And this is just a completely insulting comment to make that. It also violates the norms of the Vienna Conventions that undertake diplomatic relations, insulting the United States. This man is currently the representative of the United States in South Africa, and the refusal to see him is a diplomatic slight of the highest order. This is not a simple, okay, well, we're being insulted because you sent a junior official. This is South Africa diplomatically insulting the United States. Now, do you really think this is going to go well for South Africa? It's not. South Africa's picked a fight that it's not going to win. Ramaphosa will not hand over the G20 presidency to the U.S. chargé d'affaires Mark Dillard at a summit in Joburg. U.S., which initially said it would only attend the summit, would boycott summit, will attend only the handover ceremony. Now, that's true news. Now, that comes a full day after News 24 continued to run a story and not update it, saying that U.S. wanted to come back. They at least got the story correct now. But I got the story correct when it happened, before we even knew. When Ramaphosa uttered this nonsense yesterday, I was aware what the deal was. So let's just go ahead and take a look at that, folks. Yesterday, where's Ramaphosa at? Here it is. Now look at this. Now they all know what he's about to say, and they're all laughing. They think it's funny, and he thinks it's funny. This is Ramaphosa and his complete disrespect for the United States. While the media carry the water, Sunday Times lying about the summit, and other media outlets lying, and I'm going to expose them for their lies and their selective journalism, because this is ridiculous. These people are laughing at the United States, and they're going to pay a price for it.
We have received notice from the United States, a notice which we are still in discussions with them over, about a change of mind about participating in one shape, form, or other in the summit. So the discussions are still ongoing. This comes really at the late hour before the summit begins. And so therefore we do need to engage in those types of discussions to see how practical it is and what it finally really means. In a way, we see this as a positive sign, very positive, because, as I've often said, boycott politics never work. It's always best to be inside the tent than being outside of the tent. The tent is G20. All countries are here, and the United States, being the biggest economy in the world, needs to be here. So it's pleasing to hear that there is a change of approach, and so we are still discussing how that will manifest.
Well, it did manifest. That was a complete and utter lie. Either his handlers are stupid and can't read note verbals and don't understand it, or they intentionally misled the world. In response to that, about an hour after, this is Carolyn
because
Levitt.
there is not a shift.
This is Carolyn Levitt in the White House discussing what Ramaphosa just lied to the world about.
Explain because there is not a shift. The United States is not participating in official talks at the G20 in South Africa. I saw the South African president running his mouth a little bit against the United States and the president of the United States earlier today, and that language is not appreciated by the president or his team. The ambassador or the representative of the embassy in South Africa is simply there to recognize that the United States will be the host of the G20. They are receiving that send-off at the end of the event. They are not there to participate in official talks, despite what the South African president is falsely claiming.
Ramaphosa falsely claimed within 1 hour of that. Now, all of the media rushed to report that, with the exception of the New York Times. I got to give John Elligan credit. He did not do that. He paid attention to the news. South African media went to bed because it was already 7:30, and they're old and decrepit, or young and stupid. So they already went to bed and shut down their operations for the day, apparently, because they didn't bother to follow the news developing in Washington. That's why I had 38,000 viewers when Trump put out his executive order about South Africa on February 7th, because it was 7 p.m. here, and the South African journalists were in bed because they're not 24-hour operations. And if they are, they're not very good 24-hour operations. So just 1 hour after Ramaphosa ran his mouth, this developed from the White House press conference. Why is there nobody in News 24, a billion-dollar enterprise, that monitors White House press conferences? What does that take? An hour of your time in the afternoon or early evening every day? Yet they ran stories for a full day, part of a psychological operation, a propaganda effort to deny the truth. The U.S. government refuted this lie immediately. Yet people are acting as if this is still going on. Still stories being run today. Talking about how the U.S. has had a change of mind. No, they've not had a change of mind. That's a lie. That's an utter bold-faced lie. Well, the latest South African official, and I don't know whether I have sympathy or empathy for him or just lambaste the guy, but John Steenhuisen, the Minister of Agriculture, who's allowing the beef sector in South Africa to collapse because of his ministry's failed and apathetic and abysmal anemic efforts at dealing with foot and mouth disease. It's spread rapidly, and it's just having a devastating effect in South Africa, and it's causing the price of beef to soar, among other things. Now we have Rift Valley fever apparently hitting sheep stock. And so the Minister of Agriculture has failed while he's busy in Vietnam doing the Saturday Night Fever impression, along with Parks Tao and Ronald Lamola, and meeting with the Vietnamese officials on the sidelines of the G20. John Steenhuisen now comes out and also insults the United States and insults a senior diplomat, a man without a matric, a man without a university degree. I've never attacked him for that. That's the first time I've ever mentioned it. I've said you don't need that. But if you're going to attack a senior diplomat with 3 decades experience, having served in about a dozen embassies around the world, and our most important postings like Tokyo, Paris, and the most important South Africa, if you're going to attack that man and call him a junior official, well, then I'm going to point out that you don't have an education. Also, that you're a failed agriculture minister. I'm going to point that out. Also, my goodness, you can't even pay your credit card bills. This is the guy who's going to criticize one of the most senior diplomats on the planet. I mean, this is just obnoxious. But it just shows you the arrogance of the ANC government. Oh, I'm sorry, the GNU government. Yeah, that's right, the GNU. Absolute disgrace. Steenhuisen backs Ramaphosa in diplomatic spat with U.S. over poor form decision. A weatherman just gave $10. Well, thank you so much for that super chat. Clouds are gathering. Lazy reporting. Yeah, they are lazy reporting. Let me just cover how easy it was to refute that. Yesterday, on my live stream during the news, Mad Max put a link in here, and I went to it, and it was Ramaphosa saying that. And so I'm like, well, that doesn't make any sense. How in the world? I mean, you just have to have situational awareness or be an honest person. You have to have situational awareness. If you're going to believe Ramaphosa yesterday, the first question you can ask is, wait a second, didn't the foreign minister go on CNN on Sunday, the 16th of November, just days ago, and call Donald Trump a white supremacist? Did I miss that? I mean, you have to have some level of cognizance. You know what I mean? Some level of cognizance. You can't just be a deuce like these idiots are being here. I mean, honestly, just days ago, Donny O'Sullivan's special on CNN, the foreign minister of South Africa called Donald Trump a white supremacist. And you think just days later, here it is.
The foreign minister had to say when we asked him about it.
So this is just days ago on CNN. Whoop, that's not it. Sorry, just days ago. So this situational awareness, just days ago.
To pursue the agenda of white supremacy.
You think Trump is pursuing a white supremacist agenda?
Yes, I think so. With the program to take the...
Wow. So that was on the 16th of November. And suddenly, just 4 days later, after that international broadcast, Donald Trump is going to just go, okay, we're going to go to the summit. I mean, you have to have some situational awareness. These aren't journalists. These are propagandists. They're lazy. Every one of them. News 24, Daily Maverick, IOL, Times Live, lazy. Business Tech is one of the few outlets that actually has genuine journalists. Unbelievable, ladies and gentlemen. Unbelievable. So you actually think that Trump is going to reverse policy 4 days after that nonsense? What? I mean, there had to be some precipitating event that would force him to change it. There was nothing. So that already made me skeptical of what Ramaphosa had to say. First off, anything Ramaphosa says should be skeptical. But the media laps it up. They love the teddy bear Ramaphosa. You should be skeptical. Then there's more reason to be skeptical. So then the first thing I did when that happened, what did I do? You viewers who were here saw it. I went to Twitter. Secretary of State Rubio. I went to Twitter, Department of State. I went to Twitter for the embassy in South Africa. 3 sites there. Not a single mention of it. Then somebody said it was on Truth Social, but they were telling me something else. I went to Truth Social. President Trump didn't mention Truth Social. Then I went to the White House. 5 different sources, official U.S. government sources. Not a single one mentioned we were going to South Africa, that we participate in anything. So I said right then, it seems impossible. That was within minutes of this happening. But nope. All the media, Washington Post, everyone ran with this story and said that they're coming. They're just propagandists. So Ramaphosa, his buddy Johnny Steenhuisen is the latest person to insult this senior diplomat. I'm glad I'm not Dillard. Boy, this guy's getting abused by people who can't even graduate from high school, who can't even go to university. Yeah, it's a shame. It's a disgrace. Absolute disgrace. So, Ramaphosa is driving on with the G20 declaration, falsely claiming consensus when 5 countries' leaders aren't there. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. Ramaphosa and South Africa will now find themselves getting sidelined in the future. Michael Mark says, ordinary South Africans are threatened with jail time for owing small amounts of municipal services, but Steenhuisen can owe over 150,000. Yep. Government officials say the Sherpas are working hard on the wording of the document with 80% done. So they're going to issue a declaration of consensus without the world's largest economy there in violation of norms. Well, South Africa is going to pay a very severe price should they do that. Well, they've dug out all the leftist economists who, of course, the media say are renowned and acclaimed economists like Joseph Stiglitz and, of course, Jeffrey Sachs, who is nothing but a sack of crap. Jeffrey Sachs, the man who says, it just takes $1. If we all just give $1. $1. That's actually $10. It's the only bill I have. If we give $1, we can end world hunger. We can end poverty. You're a moron, buddy. Jeffrey Sachs. So what does the moron Jeffrey Sachs have to say about this summit? Well, they drug him out to run his mouth and talk down America. He's a scumbag. He's an absolute scumbag. An absolute Ivy League scumbag. 4-year-old mentality. U.S. scholar mocks Trump as he hails Africa's rise. Africa's rise. Oh, please. I'm sorry. Did Africa magically deal with its debt overnight? Did it pay its billions in debt? No. Has Africa ended the conflict in the Sahel? No. Has Africa ended the conflict in Sudan? No. Is Africa ended the conflict in Somalia? No. Has Africa ended the conflict in Mozambique, in Cabo Delgado province? No. In the Central African Republic? No. Shall I continue with just the conflict? Or shall I go on to poverty? Shall I talk about the deforestation of Malawi, deforestation of the Congo, deforestation of Gabon? Shall I continue with that? Shall I continue with 8.5 million HIV positive in South Africa, 600,000 tuberculosis positive in South Africa, and 500,000 respiratory deaths across the continent every single year from burning wood instead of using electricity? Shall I continue? 643 million Africans without access to any electricity whatsoever. But Africa's rising. Oh, yeah, it's rising, all right. Bullshit. 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 Utter fiction. It'd be nice to see Africa rise. It'd be a great market for our goods and services. I would love to see Africa rise. I've done all I can to help Africa rise over 3 decades. Saving lives, building schools, building clinics, building roads, training, educating, financing. For what? The only thing rising is the stench of the bullshit being spewed by the likes of Jeffrey Sachs. U.S. foreign policy academic Professor Jeffrey Sachs delivered a public lecture at the University of South Africa on Thursday evening. He suggests the U.S. was relegating itself to the sidelines of global politics. His public lecture against the U.S.'s stance on South Africa comes at a time when the U.S. seeks to undermine Pretoria's G20 presidency. But we don't have to undermine it. They've done it themselves. Renowned American economist Professor Jeffrey Sachs, an outspoken critic of the United States foreign policy, on Thursday compared U.S. President Donald Trump's decision to snub the G20 leaders to a toddler having a tantrum. Why isn't Donald Trump coming tomorrow? Because he has a 4-year-old mentality and he's having a tantrum. He's having a tantrum because the U.S. is in deeply neurotic funk. The cause of the neurosis is China. No, the cause of the absence of the United States from the G20 is South Africa abrogating private property rights, which is in violation of international norms and Section 25 of South Africa's constitution. Lost in all of this is the proximate cause for why there's no one at the summit. There's no one at the summit because South Africa has abrogated property rights and then spent the last 8 months insulting President Trump and America. Their ambassador sitting in Washington called Trump the leader of a global white supremacist movement. Jeffrey Sachs gets a red card and a shovel so he can clean the bullshit out around him. Yeah, China, get over yourself, Jeffrey Sachs. You're understanding your grip of the world. How do these people become world-renowned economists when they don't know anything? So now we see, and I'm making a video on this a little bit later on. I made some notes for it already, but I ran out of time to do it before this. Now we see the full court press, the psychological operation, the collusion of the media with the Ramaphosa regime. That's the first time I've said that, Ramaphosa regime. It's R squared, Ramaphosa regime. Yeah, the Ramaphosa regime, yep. So this is media collusion right here, all right? Hey, Donald Trump, it's called the G20, not the G1. A weekend when Johannesburg hosts the world could become the unlikeliest lesson for the most powerful man in the world on how to treat friends. Really? Well, I'm just going to cover one part here. The U.S. continues to drive the narrative that South African government is committing genocide against Afrikaners. No. Aside from Trump's hyperbole of saying the word extermination when he was pissed off the other day, no. Who's talking about white genocide? The Times Live. The Sunday Times editorial board is talking about genocide. Not me. You're the ones talking about it. Ignoring farm murders and confiscating land from minority white people. Well, yes, in fact, the government of South Africa does ignore farm murders. Black, white, brown, Indian, they don't care. Colored, they don't care. They ignore them. They completely ignore them. And then they lie about them. We have the receipts. I have the evidence, proof that the police lied about a murder, about a farm attack and a murder. They called it a house robbery. I have the report, the police report, and we know the person who died. It's the father-in-law of my friend in the farm in Brits. That's one example. We could come up with hundreds of these examples, or where they lie, they cook the statistics. So they are ignoring farm murders. But the Sunday Times editorial board are a bunch of turds who refuse to accept reality because they don't experience that reality. Perhaps someone should break into their homes and torture them and burn their house down when they walk out without stealing anything. Never mind the fact that the uptake on his refugee status provisions for Afrikaners has been as attractive as a bag full of sand to a man wandering in the desert. Well, first off, morons at the Sunday Times, it's not for Afrikaners. How stupid are these people? At some point, you can't teach retards. You can't teach retards. You cannot educate the morons. You cannot educate people with an IQ lower than the ambient temperature in the room, which is currently 20 degrees Celsius. That must be where their IQ hovers at, 20 degrees Celsius. You cannot teach them. You cannot inform them because they willfully are ignorant, willfully do not care about the truth because they're not media. They're propaganda. Propaganda. Once again, for the 1,000th time, the program is not for Afrikaners. The program was never for Afrikaners. Just because Trump says something doesn't make it true. They run around all the time saying what Trump says isn't true. Well, then why do you selectively listen to what Trump says? Why don't you follow what Trump does? They constantly say, well, Trump said this. He's wrong. He lied. Look, we're going to fact check him. But then why aren't you simply ignoring the things he says when it's hyperbole? Because it suits your narrative. When Trump says they're killing farmers. So you falsely lie to the world and say, this is a program for farmers. It is not a program for farmers. It is not a program for Afrikaners. It is not a program for white people. It is a program for racial minorities. You know this. We know this. The world knows this. But you're lying sacks of horse manure at the Sunday Times. And the uptake has been as attractive as a bag full of sand. Then why the hell don't I get any sleep? Why the hell do I have 15,000 messages from South Africans? I'm just one person. There's no way in the world that every refugee aspirant in the world is contacting me. No way. I know this because there's 400 of them over here right now, and I have only talked to 20 of them. Clearly, even at that rate, 20 out of 400. That's 5% at best case of the refugees who come over have talked to me. So if I'm talking to 15,000 people, which I am, or ignoring 15,000 people, then if that's 5% of the total, I mean, this is not real. This is just made up math. But 5% of the total, 15, you know how many people that is? That's over 300,000 at least. Insane. Insane. As attractive as a bag full of sand. And hardly anyone's jumping the opportunity. That's bull. That's total bull. Hardly anyone's jumping. Thousands are already approved and they're leaving. Soon. Very soon. Very soon. Times. Very soon. Unbelievable. Propaganda. And here's another puff piece from Cockprot24. Ramaphosa, grace under pressure. Grace under pressure? The guy collapses like a cheap suit anytime anybody puts any real pressure on him. Supposed to be a celebratory moment, but it was marred by tensions between South Africa and the U.S. The U.S. openly opposed South Africa's presidency and his courage. That's not true. The United States did not oppose South Africa's presidency. The United States did not make any effort to stop South Africa from becoming the president of G20. That's a lie. That's a lie. They opposed South Africa's agenda. That's true. But they didn't oppose the presidency. That's just fiction. That's fiction. Well, the Washington Post jumps right on in and says the U.S. plays spoiler as global inequality spikes. In advance of the G20, South Africa's President commissioned a report on the state of economic inequality around the world. Its findings were grim. Why would I trust any report coming from the government of South Africa which hides crime statistics, which lies about inflation, which lies about farm murders, which lies about its economic growth, which lies about its democracy? Why would I take any report from them seriously about global inequality? This coming from a man who hides $580,000 in U.S. cash in a sofa on a game range in South Africa. Not in Wyoming. He didn't hide $580,000 in a sofa in Wyoming in the U.S. He hid it in South Africa, illegally brought into the country, falsely not declared. Criminal actions, each and every one of them. See the U.S. tweet the U.S. sent me about Trump's new anti-communism week? No, I haven't seen that. Let me go there now before I forget. So U.S. Embassy, that kind of caught my attention there. Go to Twitter real quick. U.S. Embassy, South Africa. I don't know where the embassy website is. It's not coming up. There it is. Got it. Okay. Appropriations. No, there's nothing here. There's nothing here. I don't see anything. So I don't know what you're talking about. All right. So more propaganda. Mokhotsi is a disgruntled information peddler, says Fikile Mabulula. I don't doubt Fikile on this one. Yep. ANC Secretary General Fikile Mabulula has brought an urgent application against Brown Mokhotsi. Mabulula wants comments Mokhotsi made implicating him in the Wandile Botswana's murder declared to be defamatory, false, and unlawful. Well, the assertion is in his hands of argument filed in the Gauteng High Court in Pretoria this week ahead of the urgent application Mabulula has now brought against Mokhotsi. Ah, boy. Well, if you've been defamed, then Fikile, that's a shame. But, I mean, that guy does enough dumb stuff that no one has to defame him. Just repeat the words he says and you can expose him. Well, South Africa takes another foot and puts it in their mouth. They come out in support of Maduro and Venezuela on the eve of the G20. Ronald Lamola. Okay, hang on. First, okay, let's go to the TMO for this one. Okay, we're gonna go to television match official. Hey, Marius, can you give us that and play it in real time? Let me see the replay in real time. Okay. All right. I see clear head contact. no effort at wrapping the arms. Ronald Lamola clearly intended to insult the United States during the G20 by announcing to the media that they're in alliance with Venezuela against the United States. To me, that is a clear red card. Yeah, that's a permanent red card. Ronnie Lamola gets a permanent red card and likely to get a 10-match ban. South Africa is concerned about the rising tensions between U.S. and Venezuela, but they're not concerned about starving children in Port Elizabeth or murders in KwaZulu-Natal or gangsters all over the country running constructions in Texas. They're not concerned about that. No. Or Palestinians showing up unexpected at OR Tambo. These aren't concerns for South Africa's government. No, they're concerned about Venezuela. Yes, the tensions of Venezuela by shipping narco-terrorism to the United States. They're concerned. They're in league. They're in alliance. They're in mutual support and empathy with a narco-terrorist in Venezuela. Ask yourself why 4 million Venezuelans have fled Venezuela and 2.5 million have come to America. Ask yourself that question, folks. Ask yourself that question. Yes, put your foot in your mouth. Well, the G20 is bigger than Trump. Yes. Is it really? Mm-hmm. Yes. As South Africa hosts G20 Leaders Summit this weekend, business leader and Sherpa Professor Bonang Mohale says the world's focus should extend beyond the drama surrounding President Trump's absence. Yes. Trump 1.0 demonstrated beyond any shadow of doubt the president of the United States is against anything that's woke and progressive. He's a racist. He's against women, against Muslims, against people who prefer the same gender. What? Another moron academic. And how exactly is a racist? With a platinum plan? More black men voted for Trump than any Republican president since the 1920s? What are you talking about? Racist. How is he a racist? What has Donald Trump done that's racist? Name one thing. Shutting the border, that's not racist. White people, black people, brown people are coming across that border. And against women? The dude puts more women in positions. These people, do they believe the bullshit that comes out of their mouth? Professor Mohale, what are you talking about? These people sit around and sip their little cups of, Earl Grey. Yes, I heard that Donald Trump said he could grab women by their private parts. He must be a misogynist. Actually, that's not what happened. Donald Trump never said that. Donald Trump told Billy Bush that women in Hollywood are so desperate for attention and for roles that you can grab them by the genitals and they'll still come back. And he was right. The casting couch. Look at, what's his name? Who's the scumbag? The Weinstein. Look at Weinstein. Harvey Weinstein. That disgusting, vile, repulsive, sweaty, greasy, fat ass screwed all these Hollywood celebrities, these beautiful women, because they were desperate for roles. That's the point that Donald Trump made. But that makes him misogynist. YouTube is putting the numbers after it. It's a safety measure they've been messing with for about 6 months because people are impersonating accounts. I warned them about that 5 years ago. Now they're finally listening. None of us like it, but that's why they're doing it. Otherwise, you have people coming in pretending to be the same person. Okay? If the facts don't favor him, he manufactures his own. He's a bully. He believes in the currency of tariffs. Actually, you're a dumbass, Professor. He doesn't believe in the currency of tariffs. He believes in the political power of tariffs. And the answer is there. Denmark changed its behavior. Panama changed its behavior. Colombia changed its behavior when he threatened them with tariffs. The only idiots don't change behavior. South Africa hasn't changed its behavior. Switzerland's changed its behavior. It's lowered tariffs and barriers against U.S. products. The EU lowered tariffs and barriers against U.S. products. UK, Japan, South Korea did the same thing. China is lowering barriers against U.S. products. And therefore, we're lowering tariffs. Simple as that. These people are stupid. They're actually academics. And this is why I feel bad for the world. These are people that are teaching the youth. These are teaching our young adults to be idiots just like them. Jeffrey Sachs, teaching idiots in the Ivy League. Yep. G20. How Joe Berg rushed to be ready. But what happens after the summit? It goes back to crap. Defaced G20 signed in Nazareth. Santon is ready for its close-up. The city of Joburg proclaimed on X. This is a fantastic opportunity to showcase our iconic skyline and vibrant precinct. While the weekend's G20 summit promises all the pomp and circumstance of a main event, it's technically the culmination of more than 100 engagements that South Africa has led since assuming the G20 last December. Yes, 100 engagements when instead it should have been dealing with inflation and gangsters, taxi wars, construction mafia. hungry South Africans, HIV, tuberculosis, collapsing infrastructure. These are issues neglected by the ANC while it sought to get attention on the world stage. And that's why they're so bumhurt that Donald Trump's not going to be there, because they wanted Donald Trump to endorse and anoint them. Trust me, if Donald Trump was there, they'd all be singing his praises. None of this bullshit would be coming out about Donald Trump and Epstein and then Trump is a misogynist. None of that would be happening. Except for the seriously bumhurt leftists like, the Dan Quarters and those folks. They would be saying that. The Adrian Bassons. But the rest would all be just saying, oh, look, South Africa on the global stage, and President Trump came here, and he had a cordial meeting with President Ramaphosa. That's what would be happening. But of course, Ramaphosa started all this crap in December of 2024 by signing an unconstitutional law into existence. The Expropriation Without Compensation Act, which violates Section 25 of the South African Constitution from 1996, promulgated by a majority black government under a free South Africa. Oh, that's right, a majority black government. They approved this Constitution. They put it in motion. Yeah, and they're the ones that are violating it. Yep. Well, the Maasai are suing the Marriott chain. Oh my goodness, over Ritz-Carlton Safari Camp. Tribal leaders say the tourism development blocks one of the main migration routes of the Serengeti. Leaders of the Maasai ethnic group are seeking a court order to demolish a new Ritz-Carlton luxury safari camp they say blocks a key route of the famous Serengeti migration. Metame Olai Dapash, a Maasai elder with an American PhD, said the camp sits astride a path that some migratory wildebeest and zebra use to cross the Sand River in search of green grass. He did his doctorate in sustainability education at Arizona's Prescott College. A college that issues a PhD? Universities usually issue PhDs. And who's heard of Prescott? Yeah, so they're unhappy that they built this camp. And they're suing. So there's the camp. The Ritz-Carlton built. Merlot, thank you for the 21 Rand super chat. Clouds are gathering. Breathe. I'm breathing just fine. Nigeria, dealing with another terror threat that most people are ignoring. Whereas South Africa, in Sudan, in Somalia, in the Sahel. JNIM spreading, yes. The combined population, 75 million, the region has accounted for more fatalities than other African region on the continent since 2021. Yep. This group is responsible for terror. It's the Jama al-Nusrat al-Islam wal-Muslimin. Yeah. Most powerful extremist group in the Sahel. Students taken from a Catholic school in central Nigeria in latest abduction. But of course, leftist Nigerians claim that Christians are not under attack. Comes just days after armed men stormed a secondary school in northwestern Nigeria, kidnapping 25 schoolgirls, using as sex slaves and selling them into prostitution and marriage. Students have been abducted from a Catholic school in central Nigeria by armed gangs, according to authorities. The Niger state government has received with deep sadness the disturbing news of the kidnapping of pupils from St. Mary's School. The school kidnappings and attack on a church earlier this week come weeks after President Trump threatened military action over what he described as targeted killings of Nigeria's Christians. A narrative rejected by the Nigerian government, which says Muslims are the majority victims of attacks by armed groups. Well, it really doesn't matter whether Muslims are the majority group attacked. Christians are being attacked because they're Christian. That's the truth of the matter. You can't play whataboutism and say, well, lots of Muslims are being killed too. That isn't the point. You want to make the point about Muslims being killed, make the point. But don't deny that Christians are being killed by trying to pretend that it doesn't matter. Meanwhile, Iran has reneged on its agreement. Iran cancels new nuclear inspections that it agreed to after the bombing campaign. The termination agreement with the International Atomic Energy Agency follows U.S. and European-led charges that access have been denied. Of course they were denied because Iran is untrustworthy. Iran on Thursday said it was ending the agreement it signed in September, allowing the International Atomic Energy Agency to resume inspections after a resolution passed earlier in the day by the agency's board determining precise information about Tehran's enriched uranium and nuclear sites without delay. Well, there you have it, folks. Iran, a dishonest actor. We knew this all along. Well, get ready for more bombing campaigns. Trump will come after him again. Well, apparently the White House didn't know about Ambassador Mike Huckabee's meeting with convicted scumbag Jonathan Pollard. White House unaware that U.S. Ambassador to Israel met with convicted spy. CIA reported alarmed by the meeting, which broke a long-standing policy of not speaking with convicted spies. White House said it was unaware that a meeting took place earlier this year between United States Ambassador to Israel Mike Huckabee and Jonathan Pollard, a former U.S. Navy officer who was convicted of spying for Israel and jailed for offenses. He wasn't a Navy officer, he was a civilian. Speaking to reporters on Thursday, White House spokesman Carolyn Leavitt said that while the Trump administration had no advanced knowledge, the president stands by Ambassador. Well, I don't stand by Ambassador Huckabee. I've stood by him everything. But when Ambassador Huckabee stands by some scumbag that led to the undermining of U.S. national security, I have serious issues with Ambassador Huckabee. That was wrong, and it should not happen again. He should be sanctioned for that. Australia, the fascist censorship state, now bans Twitch from social media. Twitch, a live streaming service popular with gamers, joins 9 other platforms that were required to remove Australian users under the age of 16. Australia's fascist internet regulator said Friday that it would require Twitch, a video live streaming service, to comply with a coming ban on social media users under the age of 16. The ban will take effect on December 10th, about a year after Parliament passed one of the world's most comprehensive censorship measures. Yeah, fascist Australia. Japan has approved a $135 billion stimulus shot to try to help its economy. Major fiscal expenditure comes as no surprise given Senator Takachi's expansionist stance on macroeconomic policy. The administration signed off on a package totaling 21.3 trillion yen, or $135 billion. At the heart of proposal measures to support households under financial strain, a key issue for Japanese voters. The new government, which took power last month, has pledged to tackle the issues. Newly approved measures include immediate relief like energy subsidies and a cash handout of 20,000 yen per child, as well as more long-term moves such as raising the income tax threshold and abolishing provisional gasoline duty. Well, trying to give a shot in the arm. Japan's new leader, the Prime Minister, Takachi, has pissed off China. Facing reprisals from Beijing for a remark over Taiwan, Prime Minister Takachi must walk a fine line to prevent escalating dispute without looking weak at home. Yep. So, she's pissed off the Chinese. Good. But they were just smiling days ago. I'm glad she's pissed off Chinese. These communists need to be brought to heel. For a coffee, it might be a good FAFO Friday. Thank you for that, Jared. Appreciate that. We're waiting to see if the Trump administration does anything in response to South Africa's attacks on U.S. diplomatic officials. At least 5 killed in a magnitude 5.5 earthquake in Bangladesh, as if they need more problems. 100 other people were injured as buildings in the capital swayed in the earthquake, sending panicked residents into the streets. A powerful earthquake has struck Bangladesh outside the densely populated capital of Dhaka, killing at least 5 people and injuring 100. Magnitude 5.5 quake struck at 10:38 in the morning near the city of Narsindi, 33 kilometers from Dhaka, according to the U.S. Geological Survey. Notice how it's the U.S. Geological Survey. It's a global positioning system. These are American goods to the world. The U.S. Navy patrolling the seas, preventing piracy, ensuring the global sea lanes are open. These are gifts to the world from the American people. Antiretrovirals, gifts to the world. Ozempic, if you're chubby. I don't know, that's a good gift. The Washington Post plays propagandist as well. Trump's decision to boycott G20 leaves a void. Saying that it said Trump is planning to boycott the session in months, citing unproven claims that South Africa has been engaging in genocide against its white Afrikaner minority. He also nixed plans for J.D. Vance or Marco Rubio to attend. But it's not about that. It's about abrogating property rights. Well, Ukraine is now using ATACMS, advanced U.S. Army missiles, to attack Russia. Ukraine strikes Russia with ATACMS after President Trump lifted the long-range missile ban. Kiev acknowledges using missile system for first time since embargo removed. That's obviously an ATACMS that didn't blow up properly. Look at that. Ukraine used U.S.-supplied long-range missiles to strike Russian territory, the first time it has acknowledged deploying the systems known as ATACMS since Trump lifted restrictions on their use. The move suggests the U.S., which vetoed such attacks when Trump returned to office, is now willing to authorize such strikes and provide the targeting intelligence on which they rely. Russian air defense system apparently down 4 ATACMS fired at Voroshnov near the border with Ukraine the day before. So they claim. Carries a 1-ton warhead. Looks like a V2. Anyway, that's an ATACMS there. That wasn't an ATACMS. 950 bomblets. Missile guidance system. Range up to 186 miles. The Block 1A. So ATACMS. That's the big one. U.S. is pushing Ukraine to accept a peace deal by Thanksgiving, which is next week, or they'll lose U.S. support. U.S. is sending signals that everything could be off the table if Kiev does not quickly sign a proposal, which was drawn up by Special Envoy Steve Witkoff. U.S. Army Secretary Daniel Driscoll presented Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky on Thursday with a version of a 28-point plan that President Trump said that Steve Witkoff had drafted, which, of course, leaves the Donbass in Russia's hands, which is what I said is going to have to be the case if we ever get to peace. The United Kingdom, Europe, following U.S. crackdown on asylum cases. Moves include threatening visa restrictions on countries that don't take back failed asylum seekers. UK government on Monday announced its overhaul of the immigration policy to deter asylum seekers from arriving on British shores, the latest effort to tighten over growing dissatisfaction. They announced a suite of policies, including changing laws to make it easier to expel migrants, quadrupling the length of time that you have to wait to become permanent residents to 20 years, and regularly reviewing whether their home countries have become safer and can take them back. Britain is also threatening countries mainly in Africa with restricting visas unless they accept illegal migrants and criminals back into their countries. Wow. So, European Union and UK have become anti-immigration, anti-asylum, anti-refugee. Interesting. And who's doing this? The leftists. Labour Party are the ones restricting immigration, not conservatives. Conservatives. So are they racist? If conservatives restricted migration and immigration, illegal migration, they would be called racist. Shall we call Keir Starmer and the UK Labour government racist? Why not? Why not? They like to do that on the other side. Notice this. No one will call the UK government racist now, except for a few NGOs. The media won't call them racist. But if it were Nigel Farage leading the charge, he would be called a racist. Of course, many of those refugees are white people. But ignore that. Well, Europe is scrambling over U.S. plan to end Ukraine war, mostly on Russia's terms. A 28-point proposal would require Kiev to surrender territory and reduce the size of its army. Wow. If Moscow complies, it could receive benefits, including reintegration in the global economy. And this is what Russia actually controls. Oh, that's not here. That map is not here. Sorry. It was in another story. There's no map here. I thought there was a map here. Ukrainian army will be capped at 600,000. Swiss watches are collapsing. 47% slump in exports to the U.S. Exports of Swiss watches remained on a declining trend in October, driven by a sharp decrease in the U.S. as tariffs continue to take a toll. Total exports of Swiss timepieces dropped 4.4% in October, compared with the same period last year to 2.24 billion Swiss francs, according to data published Thursday. The fall was driven by a 47% slump in exports to the core U.S. market. Yep, there you go. Survivors described deadly snowstorm in Chile and Patagonia. 5 tourists from Mexico, Britain, Germany died on a popular hiking trail in the Torres del Paine National Park. Why are they hiking in the mountains in November? When the hikers left the campsite early Monday, it was drizzling, windy, and just above freezing, with towering granite peaks and glaciers in the Chilean Patagonia. They had the most difficult stretch of their journey ahead, but they had no idea that they would be hit by a blizzard with hurricane-force winds of 120 miles an hour, unable to see more than 10 feet ahead. Within hours, more than 24 were injured and 5 were missing. The next day, authorities confirmed that all 5 of the missing tourists from Mexico, Britain, and Germany had died. Hypothermia is what's the cause. Wow, that's crazy. Sorry about that. U.S. banks have quietly shelved the $20 billion offer to Argentina's economy, which President Trump put together. Bankers are instead discussing a smaller, short-term facility to help Argentina make a roughly $4 billion debt payment in January. So much for that. They're all freaking out that Trump is giving money to Argentina, but he didn't give money to Argentina. This is money he has facilitated through the banks, and they're now reneging. Yeah, hypothermia is not a good way to go. But you do go quietly. You just fall asleep eventually after you freeze. Well, President Trump is meeting with the Islamist-in-chief, Mamdani, the New York mayor-designate. President Trump is scheduled to host Zoran Mamdani at the White House in a meeting that will be closely watched after two men have repeatedly attacked each other. Mr. Mamdani sought to play down the potential for conflict and spoke about trying to find common ground. And what I say is cut off all federal aid to New York City. Let it suffer. They voted this idiot in. Let them suffer. Well, Donald Trump has removed tariffs on Brazil. Wow, there's a shocker. Hefty tariffs on coffee and Brazilian agricultural products. Stop that. President Trump has removed 40% tariffs on Brazilian coffee, cocoa, and beef and other agricultural products that are not grown in sufficient amounts in the U.S. Well, okay. First off, no coffee is grown in America. Our climate is not conducive. Coffee only grows in a narrow band north and south of the equator. That's it. Chantel, thank you for subscribing. So it's not grown in sufficient quantities because it's not grown in America at all. Cocoa is not grown in America either. Beef, yeah, we have beef. That's one. This should alleviate concerns about the rising coffee prices. 2/3 of American adults drink coffee each day, and every cup will cost less thanks to President Trump's decision to remove tariffs on coffee imports from Brazil, the world's largest coffee producer, said the National Coffee Association president and CEO Bill Murray. Well, I'm sorry, Mr. Murray, but the reason coffee is that expensive is because President Trump applied 40% tariffs on Brazil. So the fact that he's lifting the tariffs is not a thing to go, ooh, yay, look at President Trump, he did a great job. No, President Trump precipitated the crisis in the price of coffee because he put the tariffs on Brazilian coffee. So he doesn't get a pat on the back for removing the tariffs that he put in the first place. Come on, man. Silly, silly people. The Department of Justice calls for legal professionals to sign up as deportation judges. Oh, yeah. Department of Justice calling on legal professionals to join the administration as deportation judges to restore integrity and honor to our nation's immigration court system. The positions, open at 70 locations nationwide, offer a salary of $159,000 to $207,000 per year, and there's potential for full-time remote work. Trump administration secured the southern border, but after 4 years of crisis, there's still work to do. The jobs provide a recruitment incentive of 25% of base pay to first-time federal employees placed in New York, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Chelmsford, Massachusetts, Boston, Concord, Santa Ana, and Sacramento. Individuals who join will make decisions with generational consequences, ensure that only aliens with legally meritorious claims are allowed to remain. Moreover, judges have to ensure adherence to the law, combat fraud, and ensure those seeking to exploit vulnerabilities in our immigration system are not successful. The deadline to apply to immigration judges is March 31st. Okay, well, here's the application. I'm going to check it out. Applicants must, you got to have a law degree. Okay, never mind. Never mind. Never mind. I won't be a deportation judge. But if you are one of those people, here it is. Here's where you apply. USA Jobs. Well, I don't have a law degree, so no thanks for that. Well, Trump attacked a reporter in the White House. Now, again, I'm going to criticize President Trump for this one. This was unnecessary. She raised the question of journalist Khashoggi, who was murdered. President Donald Trump denounced ABC News' Mary Bruce as a terrible reporter Tuesday and threatened the network's license to broadcast after she asked him 3 sharp questions at the White House. Now, he called her Piggy. I don't see why. She's not exactly chubby. She's actually normal or thin. So the network's chief White House correspondent was among reporters led in the Oval Office to question the president, Crown Prince bin Salman. She asked Trump whether it was appropriate for his family to be doing business in Saudi Arabia, but before he can answer, she directed a question to Saudi Arabia. Your Royal Highness, the U.S. intelligence concluded that you orchestrated the brutal murder of a journalist. 9/11 families are furious that you are here in the Oval Office. Why should Americans trust you? And the same to you, Mr. President. Excuse me, what does 9/11 have to do with Khashoggi? Nothing. After asking Bruce, who worked for Trump, who she worked for, Trump called ABC fake news and defended his family's business. President dismissed U.S. intelligence findings Prince had some culpability in the 2018 killing of Washington Post journalist Jamal Khashoggi, a critic of the Saudi kingdom. He said a lot of people didn't like Khashoggi. For his part, Prince said the death was painful and a huge mistake. He called her Piggy. Where's that at? I think the license. Later, Trump criticized Bruce for asking the prince a horrible, insubordinate, and just terrible question. He laced into her after a third query about why the White House is waiting for congressional action to release more details about sex offender Jeffrey Epstein's correspondence. Why not just do it now? He said, it's not the question that I mind. It's your attitude. I think you're a terrible reporter. It's the way you ask questions. After addressing the Epstein question, which they don't say what he said, he returned to Bruce, saying that the people are wise to your hoax. I think the license should be taken away from ABC because your news is so fake and it's so wrong. We have a great FCC commissioner, the chairman, who should look at that, because I think when you come in and you're 97% negative to Trump and then Trump wins the election landslide, that means obviously your news is not credible and you're not credible as a reporter. Meanwhile, Bloomberg News issued a comment on Trump referring to one of its reporters, Catherine Lucy, that's what it was, as Piggy. Our White House journalist, okay, so yeah, he called her Piggy, but they're more concerned about Bruce. More concerned about the ABC reporter who asked disrespectful and rude questions and not Trump calling a reporter Piggy, which was inappropriate. Ladies and gentlemen, I have big news here. I have big news. Big news. Hang on. We need some liquid refreshment here. We have big news. China's intelligence agencies will now be running California. Did you know that? China's intelligence agencies will now be running California. The man who bangs Fang Fang, a known Chinese spy, Eric Swalwell, has announced he's running for governor of California. we thought they couldn't get worse than Newsom. Oh my goodness. Representative Eric Swalwell, the man who sleeps with Chinese spies, announced on Jimmy Kimmel Live that he will run for California governor next year, pledging to be a fighter and protector for the state. Well, carrying his lying narrative to Sacramento. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I love California. That's why you spent the last dozen years in D.C., because you love California. That's why it pisses me off to see Californians running through the fields where they work from ICE agents or troops in our streets. It's horrifying. Or cancer research being cut. Our state, this great state, needs a fighter. No, it needs people who don't sleep with Chinese spies, Eric Swalwell. I'm sorry. You are just a treasonous bastard. Trump calls for the arrest of Democrats who urge troops to disobey illegal orders because they're inciting sedition. You must refuse illegal orders, Democratic lawmakers said in a video released this week. Of course, there are no illegal orders that they're talking about. President Trump called for the arrest of Democratic lawmakers who appeared in a video calling for members of the U.S. military to disobey illegal orders. In a string of social media posts, Trump said the lawmakers' actions amounted to seditious behavior and called them traitors. He said the lawmakers should be arrested and put on trial, adding that an example must be set. Well, I do not disagree. I do not disagree. Military members don't need to be told to disobey leaders. They take an oath, and they know what the oath says. Well, the Trump administration has doubled down on scrapping the Department of Education. Let's get it done. Let's get it done. Linda McMahon is the education secretary. Let's get it done. We're tired of waiting. White House Press Secretary Karen Leavitt said the education secretary, Linda McMahon, Thursday found a silver lining in the 43-day government shutdown and proved the Department of Education was not needed. Ms. Leavitt told reporters that 90% of education department staffers were furloughed during the shutdown, but education systems were not affected. Ms. McMahon said in a video on social media that even amid the record-breaking government shutdown, our schools don't depend on Washington bureaucracy to function. If 90% of an agency supposedly governing education can disappear for weeks without disrupting education, do we really need it at all? The shutdown did manage to do one valuable thing. It proved America does not need a federal Department of Education. Here you go. Agreed. Ridiculous, ridiculous abomination. Trump calling a reporter piggy. Carolyn Leavitt defends it. Well, I disagree with Carolyn Leavitt on this. Now, it was inappropriate to call a reporter piggy. Last week, President Trump snapped at journalists when she asked him about Jeffrey Epstein. Quiet! Quiet, piggy! That's not cool. That's unnecessary. Unnecessary. Catherine Lucy. Let's take a look and see if she's chubby, because, you know, that's one assumes that's talking about her appearance. We don't know that for a fact, but let's take a look. I don't even know who this reporter is. Reporter. Piggy? She's not a piggy. Obviously, he wasn't talking about her appearance because he's talking about her behavior. Because this is how she's not fat at all. She's like rail thin. So, yep, still an inappropriate remark by the president. No point in doing that. That's not helpful. Well, after decades of power, Larry Summers, the scumbag Epstein affiliate, the first demon rat to fall, and the Democrats for 4 years hid the Epstein files, and for 6 months, so-called conservatives and MAGA movement crying about the Epstein files, the Epstein files, the Epstein files, the Epstein files. And the Epstein files come out, and who do we see? Larry Summers, the Clintonite, the Obamaite, the scumbag, former president of Harvard University. Harvard University, yes. Calling her piggy was inappropriate, Odin's Viking. Just telling her to shut up would have been fine. Summers had long helped shape U.S. economic policy. His close friendship with Jeffrey Epstein could scuttle much of that legacy. Oh, no, we know you're a perv. Lawrence Summers, he dominated economic thought in Washington and destroyed our economy for the better part of 4 decades. He launched his policy career in Reagan's White House before advising Dukakis, then became World Bank's chief economist, held senior positions in Clinton and Obama administration, and counseled President Joe Biden. But he was a perv. And that's all been ruined. Air traffic controllers who had perfect attendance will get that $10,000 bonus. Wow. Transportation Department said 776 controllers and technicians will receive bonuses, which suggests that only a fraction of people didn't miss any work. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy and Federal Aviation Administration Administrator Brian Beveridge said Thursday that the bonuses will be given to 776 air traffic controllers and technicians who maintained perfect attendance during the shutdown. These patriotic men and women never missed a beat and kept the flying public safe throughout the shutdown. Well done. I say hear, hear, cheer. Give that man a balls. Yep. 2 Chinese nationals and 2 Americans charged with smuggling NVIDIA chips to China. The defendants allegedly used a deliberate and deceptive effort to transship controlled NVIDIA chips to China. 2 Chinese nationals and 2 U.S. citizens have been charged with a scheme to illegally export advanced NVIDIA chips to China in violation of U.S. export controls. Li Sham, 38, a California resident, and Shen Jing, 45, resides in Florida on an F1 non-immigrant student visa, are the 2 Chinese nationals accused of illegally exporting. 2 U.S. citizens are Ho Hong Ning and Brian Curtis Raymond, who lives in Huntsville, Alabama. Ho Hong Ning, and a U.S. national. Yeah, okay. Larry Summers has ruined his reputation. How the delay took a long time. Because the Democrats hid the Epstein files for 4 years. 4 years. But now the reckoning comes for the Democrats. Yep. Let's talk Turkey. Shall we talk Turkey to those who remain with us? We've lost a lot of viewers. Probably betrayed us and went over to Ronaldo's show, be my guess. But we're still at 634 viewers at the moment. So shall we talk Turkey, folks? Let's talk Turkey in our last story for the news today. Let's talk about Turkey. Yep. The rise and fall of the Thanksgiving turkey. Americans will eat 30 million turkeys this Thanksgiving, but that's down from a 40-year low amid waning demand and waves of bird flu. Yep. There are almost as many turkeys as there are people in Texas. The rise and fall of the turkey in America. Annual turkey consumption rose to an average of 10 pounds per person in 1980 to a peak of 18 pounds per person in 1996. Since that time, consumers seem to steadily eating less turkey. In 2025, turkey consumption was projected to be just 13 pounds per person, a 40-year low. The number of turkeys raised in the United States reached a peak in 1995 as 300 million turkeys, but now we're down to 200 million, slightly under 200 million. 30 million turkeys will be eaten on Thanksgiving. That's 15% of the total number of turkeys, but that's a 35% drop from the 46 million consumed in 2016. Turkey consumption in the United States from 1970 to 2025, billions of pounds, 4.2 billion pounds will be consumed this year. Wow, that's a lot of turkey. Bird flu has had a big impact on it. Yep, turkey prices remain high despite the fact that demand has gone down. It's up from last year, but it's been down. That's expensive. So here are the world's top turkey exporters. South Africa exports a little bit of turkey, even though its poultry industry is falling apart. Poland, the United States are the 2 largest exporters, each with over 24% of the total exports. Global exports have dropped 22% compared to 2014. Worldwide turkey exports reflected a downturn. U.S. exports declining 8% in the last 3 years. Turkey. What's that? Well, not often it happens. More likes than viewers. No, it does happen. It does happen a lot. All right. There you go, folks. Terrible turkey trauma. There you go. Yep. They gobble all your money. Yeah, turkeys have become quite expensive. A guy was arrested at USA and Walmart when he shot his first turkey, a frozen turkey. If you're not happy with yourself, you'll be offended, even if it's not directed at you. Yeah, there you go. Remember to hit the like button. Every time he adds interrupts the scene, it buffers the video like the day of dial-up. Sorry about that. I guess I'll have to set this up so that it doesn't do any advertising during the stream. Maybe I can do that. Looks like Phoebe from Friends. Okay. All right. The U.S. also sends a letter to all the embassies to amend the yearly human rights abuse report. Correct? They did. University of Florida is busy with coffee growing trials. Really? Well, really? Trials? We don't grow coffee in America. It doesn't work. Where are they going to grow it? Miami? I suppose that's close enough to the equator. Nicholas Hughes, what's going on? I can't imagine coffee would do well. See, here's a map of where coffee can grow. Here's a map of where coffee can grow. That's the limits of it. And the United States doesn't fall inside it. Cuba does, but the United States doesn't. So I'm not sure how we're going to grow coffee. While Australia falls in that latitude, it really doesn't have the weather in much of that area. In the far north it does, but some of it doesn't. I don't know they grow any coffee there either. So that's where coffee can grow. So here's the wine belt. There's where wine can grow. Almost the entire United States can grow wine, except for part of Florida and Texas. Look at that. Even Nova Scotia can grow wine. Here's coffee and wine. There you go, folks. California should just be named Mars. Yeah, exactly. What else we got here? Saw it live. President Trump ripped ABC new one. Then he went off his rocker. Yeah, Trump's definitely losing his patience with these people. I haven't seen any more of this, but any thought on Mandami, President Trump? I just talked about that. I don't think it'll come to much. Mandami is a dangerous person. He's just a fool. He's an opportunist. Zuma's daughter has been implicated in regards to 18 Southern men who were sent. Yeah, no, I covered that, Leslie, yesterday. Yep. I asked the question, will black South Africans who've gone to be mercenaries in Russia be prosecuted for that? They'll do that to white South Africans. Everyone seems to be so focused on G20, Ukraine, a plethora of other crap. I feel most people around the world are so blinded by the crap extremist Islamic moves missed. Thomas, no, I've talked about that in several stories. Did watch Brooks Spector anchor tried to get him to answer loaded questions for which he dodged. He did mention that the B-20 went well. Men USA delegates in attendance. Thank you, David. This change is being made to prevent impersonation, reduce spam, and allow for better mobile tagging and live chats. Yeah, exactly. Prevent impersonation, that's the key thing, Otopi. Yeah, but people don't like it. I don't like it either. Thank you for the super chats. The couple that came in. EFF should declare it as terrorists as do certainly yeah, well, I don't disagree with that. There's a point where it was manageable, but I couldn't bulk delete the mail, so I just abandoned the one associated with the YouTube account. Seriously, I'm so done with South Africa. I'm beyond embarrassed to tell people I'm South African. If I make it to America, there is no way I'll ever admit that I'm South African, says MRP. Okay. Well, that's unfortunate, but I understand where you're coming from. Never had turkey. Oh, turkey's fantastic. It's my favorite meat. Yep. I like kudu as well, but you don't get that here in America. And you don't get it in South Africa very often. You pay a lot for it. No, I love turkey. Turkey's fantastic. Turkey tacos, turkey burgers, turkey breast. But I only eat the white meat. Dylan likes cow. I don't care for beef nearly as much. 597. We've lost more people. Where are they going? Take it easy. What am I taking easy, Dwayne? What's that comment? What am I missing here? Always enjoy the passion analysis. Thank you, William. Appreciate that. EFF is the black AWB. I don't know about that. Andres Muller, welcome to you. So, Lamb is the best. Ugh. No. You're welcome, Utopi. My pleasure. By the way, my computer's not acting up anymore, Utopi. It's not acting up. Windows, which said they won't do any more updates, lied. They're going to keep doing security updates for Windows 10. I've already had 3 updates, and the first one is what screwed this all up. Suddenly, my Firefox wasn't working anymore, and it was logging me out of everything. That's not happening anymore. Maybe it will again, I don't know, but it isn't happening. And also, what was happening with my drives. Unfortunately, I lost a PowerPoint presentation that was damaged, and I can't recover it from when it was trying to save when those drives were inaccessible. Whatever they did to my USB drivers is fixed now. I'm not having these problems anymore. Lobster rolls. Not a fan of lobster rolls. I don't really care for lobster. It's not my thing. Kudu. Yep. We actually need to thank CNN for exposing Lamola's hatred. I did the thing, but you don't see my comment. I want to hear you laugh. And Marie, I didn't see what you wrote. It's a problem because all these long usernames are so complicated now. Yeah, Utopi, you did. You helped me survive it when it was messed up. So your information was helpful surviving it when it was messed up. But the problem was resolved, I believe, by Microsoft fixing their crap. Yep. I assume it's done. It hasn't been a problem for a week now. BBC article about Trump wanting to declare human rights abuse on the countries who wants to implement or practice DI. Well, that's pretty cool. 6 years worth of CAD drawings recently. That sucks. Hemsbach is some of the best game. Okay, okay. Got my call of referral from RC today. Thank you for your early video today and copious ones before. You're very welcome, Angels. Oh, it's Varoshka. Hey, Varoshka. Pick me, says Garrett. Pretoria, heavy power outages today. Many thanks. You're welcome there, Joan. Turkey's okay. Turkey's fantastic. Stress, sir. Oh, Dwayne Funstad, you don't know what stress is, man. This is a walk in the park, guys. I appreciate your concern, but I mean, dude, I've been in combat. I mean, I grew up in horrible circumstances as a kid. This is not stress. Annoying, yes, but no stress. Springbok's the best. I don't know if Springbok's the best. Elon, yeah, okay. Yep. Oryx, says Garrett. Truth Report with Errol. The Truth Report did a conversation with Errol Musk. Wow. Okay, I didn't know that. I haven't done a report for Truth Report in 2 weeks now. Whoa, what's this? Huh. Ooh, my goodness. What is she doing? She's riding on a thing on the beach. I gotta watch that later. Truth Report. They had Errol Musk.
Do you want to address the sexual misconduct allegations against you? Is Elon still concerned about South Africa? Does he still want to win?
It's also the most but you know, it's not the
so who interviewed
of it. The woman as what is it, and so.
Oh, that sucks. I was offered an interview with Errol Musk, and then he was out of town, so someone else got it first. Ah. Huh. I didn't know they had him. Great session today. Thank you. You're welcome, Etienne Bronkhorst. My pleasure. And thank you for the 70 Rand. Clouds are gathering. Yeah, I haven't seen that video. I didn't know that was coming on there. Wow. In a bit of pain. Turns out, subdermal system. Oh, my goodness. You're welcome, Krista. You're barely touching ground. Yeah, no, I'm constantly in the air, moving, getting stuff done. By the way, I took a look at my channel last night, guys, and other channels that cover South Africa. And interesting thing. My channel is still outperforming most South African channels, including the Truth Report, with higher views. Yep. More hours watched, which surprised me because I was in a bit of a funk there and was still outperforming. So it shows that we were all in a bit of a funk if I was still outperforming them. How am I doing, Michelle? I'm okay. Thank you for asking. Dire Straits. Okay. Bourvors. Yep. Okay. Not so bad. Had a few laughs listening to him. Well, I haven't seen it. Yes, I know 70 Rand is a few dollars. It's more than 70 cents. So that would be 17 times 4, 54. $5 minus the taxes. I get about $2.50. You must try to get Gary Player. How am I going to get Gary Player? As a notogenarian. If I was there, I might be able to interview him, but not here. Dad's brand is a butcher shop. It's called Stellenbosch Wars. Okay, that's interesting to know here in Maze. Hope you'll have less pain in a few days. Yeah, I hope that he feels better too. Can we please get your reaction to 24 minutes in? Trust is priceless. Okay. Okay, so you want me to go 24 minutes in. That's what you're talking about. Okay, where's that? We're almost 24 minutes in. There's 34, 24 minutes. Okay, let me see what he's got to say.
Oh, of course, in terms of that, they pay a little bit of tax. But if that source of revenue was cut to the South African government for 6 months or whatever, somebody works it out, it would wake them up. It's very hard to do that because, you know, people feel honor-bound not to do things like that. Yeah. But I can tell you this, that if it was done, there is no way that the ANC government would have any way of enforcing payment of tax. No way. They could try
That's not interesting.
Cancelling the accounts of people in banks and everything. They'll get a lot of blowback. It won't happen. You know, they'll try and seize people's assets straight from the banks. Yeah. That would result in absolute chaos. one doesn't want to go that far. One wants these people to start waking up. What we really need to have in the South African government is appointment on the basis of merit. Now, the problem is, if you appoint people on the basis of merit, I've been a government sort of person because I was a city councillor for quite a few years in Pretoria, so I know a little bit about the bureaucracy. But if you work on merit, then you're going to see a lot of the government will go back into the hands of white people. There's no doubt about that. I'm tired of pretending, but they don't want to see that. So they'll take somebody who's got doubtfully even matric and make them the Minister of Defence or the Minister of this, Minister of Water Affairs. I saw the new Minister of Water Affairs. It's an old OC who is, has got not a clue what water affairs are about. He's the Minister of Water Affairs. I saw this. And I saw that.
All right, is that what you want me to comment on? Oh, Pemi Mojina has no competency whatsoever. She's an idiot. Just clouds are gathering. Clouds are gathering. Spikles, you can accommodate me. You can contact me, but I don't know that I can help you. The accommodation we were trying to do was to help people who were stuck, who hadn't flown, not just people who are traveling. I mean, I'll see what we can do. Send me an email or a WhatsApp. If you do it right now, tell me where you sent it so I can go look for it, and I'll see if somebody can help you. But we're not in the business of just providing accommodation for 15,000 South Africans who are leaving as refugees. But I'll see what I can do. Mike Sham, okay. Well, tell Mike Sham he should interview me. It's really important to restore your gut microbiome. Okay. Yeah, they sit on 2.6 million annual salaries while competent people aren't even allowed to get a job. He's right about that. Anybody driving from Cape Town to Joburg or Pretoria next week? There you go. Morsh. Okay. If you look a little bit back, you feel sorry for Ramaphosa. I don't feel sorry for Ramaphosa. You told me to look at 24 minutes. I went 24 minutes. Disc drill. Okay. Disc drill. Yeah, this is for deleted documents. It doesn't say that recovering damaged documents. It's not a major issue, but I mean, I lost a bunch of images. Disk drill for Windows 10. Oh, it just downloaded. Okay, good. All right, thank you for that. That's an idea. I'll try it. Art Queen is leaving. Why? Truth Reports host Kool-Aid is coming out with a lot of current day truths. FZFF. Educated, not afraid to tell the truth. Yeah, okay. I'm not going to comment on Truth Report. There's been some people on Truth Report that have been using clickbait titles and making claims of things that they can't back up. So I'm being very careful about what I'm saying about Truth Report. The only sufficient government department in South Africa is SARS. Yeah, exactly. 75% of your overtime. That's crazy. Dwayne says, thank you personally for what you stand for. You're very welcome. I stand for the truth. That's what I stand for. Thank you for all you're doing, for your updates. Looks like a few people coming in here that I haven't seen before, and maybe it's just because your usernames are changed, but I think there's people I haven't seen before. Welcome to people who are new here. Amazing if you can interview. Okay, Mike Sham. So I still don't know Mike Sham. So the video I just did about Steenhuisen for some reason is taken off. My goodness. That has been up for, hang on a second. Thank you, Lilo, excuse me, 140 Rand Super Chat. Thank you for that. The one I did on Steenhuisen has been up for an hour and a half. It's got 9,000 views. Wow. Wow. And we got 13 dislikes. It must be DA supporters. Oh my gosh. It must be DA supporters. Anyway. SA Minister insults U.S. diplomat G20. William, thank you for the 140 Rand Super Chat. Oh, okay. Now the clouds are gathering. Apropos, the clouds are gathering here today. thank you for that advice, Phoenix. I'll check it out. Lee Lowe gave us a super sticker, and William Wheeler gave, forgot to mention that I received my first contact videos after 10 months of patient waiting. Very thankful, followed all your advice, hoping I'm out soon. We'll contact you. Okay, William, yeah. No, I mean, I know it's frustrating for people who've been waiting, but again, and it doesn't make you feel any better, but remember, people wait years in Kenya to get out, the Somalis get out of there. So it's actually going fast. Even 10 months, even if it takes you a year to get out, it's still faster than it is for most people. Interview's done and dusted. Medical's next week. Cool. A lot of people are getting jerked around on that, so I'm glad you're not getting jerked around. Enjoy your Friday. See you all in a couple of hours. Clickbait, that podcaster throws shade on the channel. Yeah, no, there are a few people that do that, and it's not good. It's not good. That's why I'm not putting comments up about. People are asking me about, Truth Report. Truth Report's a great opportunity. It's a great channel. Does some great stuff. But I'm it's also. It's become a clearinghouse for a whole lot of people. It was supposed to be a handful of people who were the core, and then other people got to put stuff in occasionally, but I'm not really sure where it's going right now. But things change. There's nothing wrong with that. Things change. Rugby Senate stream tomorrow. I've decided to just do one game, the Springboks game. The other games are not that appealing. I might do the Australia game against France, but is it Australia, France? Anyway, but I'll be watching the rugby probably, but I need to. There's not enough interesting because as soon as this is over, then November, we get back December, then we're back into URC season where I'll be doing 2 and 3 and 4 a day. Well, thank you, Garrett. Will Smurf says, take care. All right, best to get out now before the huge operations start. Good night, Peter. Got a phone call last week from Mayor Connors. Now I'm waiting for the next call. Okay, that's cool. Well, Mayor Connors seemed to be working very diligently. Yeah, so I'll have the Ireland game, the Ireland-South Africa game. That'll be the big one. And I'll probably start early to talk about it and talk about all that's been happening. So I haven't set up yet. I'll set up later today. After months since May, received our first call today. I wanted to give up hope. Then I listened to Colonel Chris and kept going. All right, Sona Bloom. See? I mean, gosh, you guys have no ideas. The heart-wrenching emails, and I get some people that just complain. Am I right by saying that South Africa is hiding all their corruption behind GBV? No, that's not the only place they're hiding, but GBV is with the... I've said this many times, folks. Every time the ANC is caught doing something wrong, every time that they're inappropriate, the ANC simply resorts to GBV, gender-based violence. They start talking about gender-based violence, but they do nothing to fix it. Nothing to fix it. You're welcome, Dylan. You're welcome. When is Thanksgiving? Make special plans. On Thanksgiving, I will be appearing on Venant Dutoy's channel, Bosbarat. Bosbarat will be on next Thursday. Is Thanksgiving. A week from yesterday is Thanksgiving, and I'll be on Bosbarat. I'll be on Venant Dutoy's channel, along with Rob McGimsey and Venant Dutoy. So that's next week. That's my special plans for Thanksgiving. And Jason got an approval letter. See? Look at all these people. Yeah, on paper, the South Africa-Ireland game should be amazing. Let's see what happens. I better do that now. Yeah, I better get my Super Brewing now before I screw myself. Thank you for reminding me of that. Super Brew. Super Brew, because let's do the picks now. All right, so dashboard. Okay, so... Okay, upcoming. Here we go. Hang on a second. Okay, so we got Georgia, Japan. This one I picked Japan. Japan is fit and tied. They should have won in Wales. Georgia's not as good as they think they are. Japan by 7. Romania and Uruguay. I'm not going to screw up. I'm going with Uruguay here. Uruguay by 10. Wales and New Zealand. New Zealand by 24. Okay. Portugal, Canada. Portugal by 5. Spain and Fiji. Fiji's lost 2. Spain can be tough. I'm going to go on. This is a flyer. I'm going to go by Spain by 7. Ireland, South Africa. Ireland has won 2-3. South Africa has won 3-3. South Africa by 7. Let's go with 10. Let's say they do something good. Let's go with 10. Okay. France and Australia. Yeah, Australia's lost 3. France has won 1. Let's go with France by 12. Okay, Italy, Chile. Ooh, this one's a tough one. Italy is looking much better, but Chile is looking better. We'll go with Italy here. Italy by 10. Scotland and Tonga. Scotland has been such a disappointment, but Tonga is a disaster. So Scotland by 15. England and Argentina. Ooh, baby. Oh, man, this is a Twickenham, too. Boy, I'll tell you, England is looking a lot better. Argentina's looking good. I mean, I want to pick Argentina, but England has won 10 in a row. They beat the All Blacks. They're going to be in a great mood. The smart money's on England, but my heart is with Argentina. I'm going to pick another flyer here and go with England by 7. Wales and South Africa, that's next week. South Africa by 30. And that gets me through there's only one game the following week. That's South Africa. So there you go, folks. What's this to do? Okay, I got that. Okay, so URC comes up on November 28th. So what are my picks on November 28th? Okay, November 28th, I've got Dragons and Leicester. I'll go with Leicester by 10. Ulster, Benetton. Ulster at home. I'll pick them by 10 over Benetton. Bulls and Lions. Bulls by 10 over the Lions. Zebra and Cardiff. Cardiff by 7. Edinburgh and Osprey. Well, both these teams suck this year. Edinburgh's at home. We'll go to Edinburgh by 5. Munster and the Stormers. Oh, and the Stormers are on the road to Munster. Both teams are 5 wins. Ah, man. 5 wins from 5. This is a premier marquee matchup. That's on the 29th at 12:30 my time, so 7:30 South Africa time. My heart is with the Stormers. My brain is with Munster at home. I'm going to pick the Stormers by 7. Connacht and the Sharks, both of them suck badly. Let's see, the Sharks, I'm going to say maybe with the Springboks at the back, they can pull one off on the road. I'm going to go with the Sharks by 7. That's a flyer. Glasgow and the Scarlets, that's easy. Glasgow on the road by 12. And that takes care of the URC, the first round when they're back. All right, cool. Finish interviews and medicals, okay. Voy, good view. Is that anti-Voy, I think. I'm trying, but the lack of info makes me scared. Okay. Scotland's the only team to shout for. Are you available? Stand in Santa. Seen Eisen wants to be president. Saw a statement by a man of color saying DA needs a white president. The ball game tomorrow is at 7 p.m., if I'm not mistaken. Not mistaken. Yep. All right, let me take a look at the stream health. How are we doing over here? Okay. All right, so cool beans. All right, guys, been at this now 41 minutes. I have a problem with chat messages defaults to messages instead of all messages. Yeah, that's happening too, Maze. It's happening to a lot of people. I don't know what it is. It's a YouTube thing. It started about 2 or 3 days ago. We're going to wrap up here. Thanks for tuning in. There'll be a 9 hours later tonight, but I've got to run around and get some donations for the Veterans event. I've got to record a video before I go do that. So you all have a lovely day. Thanks for being here. Lamola and Bloomberg Live, YouTube called Africa's Global Role in New Geopolitical. No, I haven't seen that. Bloomberg is behind a paywall. People have referred to the refugee program. I received their calls, but I have not heard anything. Maybe they don't want singletons. No, Karen Bester. If you haven't heard anything, then you're not following my directions. You're not following the embassy's directions. Since November 4th, I've been telling people now for 17 days, if you sent in a statement of interest or a PR email and you've never had an interview, you need to go onto the embassy website and complete the intake questionnaire. You must fill out the intake questionnaire. If you have done those things that I just said and not had an interview, then you will never be called unless you fill out the intake questionnaire. It takes hours to do. Read the instructions thoroughly, understand it before you start, and it's best to do it on a laptop or PC, not on a phone. All right, Karen Bester, please listen to what I'm saying. You will never be called unless you follow my instructions, okay? That's as per the U.S. Embassy. Yep. And it's not about singletons, not about the cancer patients. It's about refugees, okay? As long as you're not a criminal. Okay, all right, there you go. Hopefully you heard what I said. You guys take care. That's going to do it for today. Look for my videos coming up. I have another one coming up here shortly, okay? Thanks for tuning in. Always a pleasure. And we'll see what happens. If Trump comes out with anything this afternoon, I'll put videos out about, Friends and Family Only Friday, because he's probably pissed off at South Africa with good reason. Cheers, everybody. God bless.